Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And on tonight's show, I'm pleased to have the assistant coach, also works with the pitchers as well for the Ridgefield baseball team, Adam Rosten. Adam, I appreciate you coming on. It's going to be a lot of fun being able to preview the Ridgefield baseball program.
Thank you for having me, Chris. I'm really excited to be here and talk to you about my guys today.
It's always fun because, when I think of the FCAC, and I know I spoke with, a number of coaches as I have around the state, and I hear, about some of the better teams, players coming back, etc. Ridgefield to me is the kind of program that seems to be the modern day of consistency. When you think of like the Patriots, the Astros, which today's opening day for Major League Baseball, Ridgefield has been that now for some years now. And it's going to be a little different as far as what you have coming back. The horses have now moved on. Now you've got the young bucks as now they're going to have to be baptized by fire, basically.
Absolutely. We've got a young team this year. We have 4 guys returning that have actual varsity experience in Justin Keller, Everett Greenwood, Jacob Volnick, and Trey Massonet, who caught a little bit for us last year. It's going to be a trial by fire. Definitely. We're going to have to develop, teach, make sure that we're, adjusting our practice plans and trying to get these guys as ready as possible for the very tough conference play.
Now, you were telling me that you coached with Coach Ratchford in Danbury for some years, correct?
I did. I was the freshman coach, the assistant freshman coach for 3 years. I also worked at Shelton for Scott Gura, and I was at Newtown. Matt Memoli, who's now the AD, gave me my first job. We were both working at the middle school at the time.
So when you think about kind of that avenue, right, and going through those necessary steps, was there anything that you were able to take from every one of those people and kind of use that either for baseball or for, your own personal life as you were kind of going through the coaching chain rather?
Oh, absolutely. I always try to take something from whatever program I'm at and then try to apply it. So like, for example, when I was at Newtown, Matt always asks his guys what they learned at school today during practice. And that's something that I do. Scott was focused on, the X's and the O's. So I really try to make sure that when I develop a practice plan that we're focusing on something X and the O's. And, Sean Ratchford is the king of small ball. And he taught me so much about bunting and squeezing and, so I try to bring those things in and that's part of life, is adapting and learning and growing. And then, you take those things and you modify them a little bit to make it your own.
When you think about it, I don't know the other 2 gentlemen. Hopefully I will sometime in the future, but I know Ratchford well because I've had both the father and I've had his son on my podcast, and I still talk to his son quite a bit. And I actually texted Coach Ratchford last year because of the run that Danbury made last year, especially because they start out a little bit kind of iffy like they have in the past couple of years. But then once they get hot, it's like they get hot for a long time. They don't cool off. And I know that Coach Ratchford is very, very, like you mentioned, with bunting and stealing, kind of like the fine-tune, the small details. He's big into that. And have you kind of brought that with you now to Ridgefield?
Absolutely. And, that's, one of our assistant coaches, Len Murillo, came up with our slogan for the year. It's do the little things well. And so that's the little things that we're going to be working on: bunting, getting good leads, good secondary leads, knowing the X's and the O's of when to, when it's a sack bunt or when it's a bunt for a hit, and those little things add up. And I mean, Danbury's a perfect example. They do all those little things really, really well, and they just break down teams until they're just, it's just a win. So I definitely try to bring that to Ridgefield every day and try to make sure that the guys are as prepared as possible.
As someone too, because you were mentioning how you were working with the pitchers a little bit and such, and knowing that how big it is as far as for pitchers to hold, to hold runners on, right?
Yep.
But and what we're seeing in Major League Baseball with bigger bases, limiting as far as being able to throw to the bases, etc., and trying to get more action into the game. Do you feel like that speed could be a crucial part for this team this year? Because it's not like, now mind you, Major League catchers can throw out guys at a high clip, but even then, more often than not, you have a good chance of being safe if you have a good secondary lead and also a good jump. Is that something that's being preached as well?
Absolutely, and just being smart. I'm part of that Mike Roberts, base stealing theory of, it's all about timing. And if you get the right timing, you're able to get that good jump and able to get that good steal. And, that's something that I think all high school coaches are working on with their guys. We just had a scrimmage against Bethel yesterday, and 2 or 3 of the pitchers came up to me, were like, Coach, we got to put this on the to-do list. I want to work on my looks. I want to work on my timing. So it's definitely something that we keep in the back of our minds, and definitely something we talk about, and definitely something we're going to be working on, pretty closely.
As you have evolved, coach, through your times coaching at the high school level, is there anything in particular that has changed with the game of baseball as far as the high school level is concerned? I know, with technology and you think about blast motion, Rapsodo when measuring, with blast motion, with the exit velocity, Rapsodo is measuring the spin rate, which is huge now as far as coming out of the hand and so on the rotations. Anything that you've noticed of late?
That's a great question. There's so much information out there, and I really think it's important about how you present it to the kids. The kids are always focused on, how much spin rate or what my velo is. And, there's that push for, higher velo, fast as you can. But, you had guys who were very successful at the major league level, like Greg Maddux, who didn't throw more than 92 miles per hour, but his ball was just moving like crazy. And, something that we talk about at Ridgefield is just switching the grip, play with the grip. So like a part of our throwing program for the pitchers is, they have to do a change up at 70 feet and they have to try different grips with it. And then we have this one guy, Jack Corey, he's a junior this year. He's one of our pitchers, one of our new pitchers on staff. And he's been working on a cutter, and he futzes with it when he's, shagging balls in the outfield with one of the guys. He'll just try and throw it. And, we tell the story about how Mariano Rivera found his cutter shagging fly balls. So, there's evidence to support it. Do I think that the information is good? Absolutely. Any information to get an edge is great. I just think we need to present it in a way that the kids will understand it and understand how it works for them.
I think it's great that the emphasis on the changeup is so huge because I feel like, and again, you could hurt your arm on any pitch. I'm not into the, oh, well, if it's just a curveball, that's the only thing that could hurt the arm. I mean, Mark Pryor, who was supposed to be a god, had perfect mechanics, could never stay healthy, right? But then you've got guys like Scherzer, who seems like every throw is going to be his last, and he never gets hurt ever, which is astounding. But again, it goes back to the repeatability of the mechanics, being able to go through that every single time, and also some luck involved and so on and so forth. I want to go back to the changeup thing because I think that's very unique. Being a team, and it sounds like you guys really focus on that. Do you feel like that kind of gives you an edge? Because again, from my distance as a broadcaster from afar, I feel like, and the same thing at the college level too, I see way more curveballs that are good than I do changeups that are good. And I think that's a huge advantage for Ridgefield if you guys can have that pitch going now into this season.
Absolutely. And, I've went to a bunch of coaching clinics this past summer. I'm a member of the American Baseball Coaches Association, which I highly recommend to all you coaches out there. If you're not already, join up. It's $50 for the year. Sign up. They have a video library where they have a ton of coaches talking about it. The focus is that they want that second pitch to be the changeup. Yes, you can have a great curveball. Yes, you can have a slider or a splitter or a sinker, but the changeup, because it's easy on the arm and it's an easy pitch to on the arm and for the kid to use. And especially, some guys don't have as big hands as others, so they can't do the full circle change. So if you find a grip that works for you and you have a little bit of movement, but it looks like a fastball coming out of the hand, you're going to be unhittable. And I'm not saying that Ridgefield baseball has the best changeups in Connecticut. I'm not preaching. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that it's a focus this year, and it's something we want to work on. And it's something I've heard from college coaches talking to them over the summer about some of our guys. It was the one thing that was consistent. It was like, we need to see that second pitch be a changeup, and then we can work and develop the other 3, 4, 5 pitches.
Has there been anything during, when you get the players, warmed up and such that they do? I know, some will throw footballs that I've noticed. I saw a video, I think yesterday on Twitter, and I think it was at the college ranks. A pitcher was throwing a softball. We talk about with football with pronation and such. Changeup is the same thing. Kind of teaches not so much teaches, but kind of trains the brain to pronate and get into that motion. Is Ridgefield doing anything like that?
Nothing crazy like that. I'm more of that old school. Let just play with the grip and see what happens. We have started doing that 70-foot changeup as part of their regular throwing routine. And like we were talking about before, the change in at the high school level is all these guys have different throwing programs or have different, so their summer program has one, or if they're committed to a college, their college coach has a throwing program. So it's trying to find that comfortability, with your arm. I'm a big guy on, how does your arm feel? If you're feeling good and you want to throw after you pitch 5 innings and that's what you want to do, that's fine with me. I just don't want to see you get hurt. So, our throwing program is a pretty standard. Day after you pitch, you take the day off. The next day you're doing light work with band work. The day after that, they're doing, long toss with maybe a 15 pitch, bullpen. The day after that, they're back to the regular throwing. And then, it's really up to them what they want to do, the 3 days going up to, the start or when they're going to pitch in relief.
Has there been any players thus far? And I know with the season starting Saturday, probably going to be Sunday or Monday, depending on the weather and such. Has there been any players that really kind of jumped out early on?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, Justin Keller, he had a good season in football. Last year, he started off a little bit slow. They made a run in basketball. He's a 3-sport athlete. The kid is a freak. But he's definitely jumped out this year as one of our guys that the rust has clearly been knocked off and he's ready and raring to go. Pitching wise, Jacob Volnick, he was hurt a lot of the season last year. He came in against Norwalk through 4 shutout innings, didn't let a ball out of the infield. We got guys like Everett Greenwood, who's coming back. He was playing hockey at Ridgefield for us. So he's going to have a big bat. And then we're looking at our sophomores and juniors, guys like Nick Dorso, Jack Corey are going to be running around in the outfield, and Jack's also going to be pitching. We got Trey Massinette's going to be our one of our starting catchers, and Ben D'Antonio, who's also going to be doing big things this year. He had a really good winter. As far as pitching goes, I'm really liking what we have. Miles Githfeld is a returner. He's one of our guys who pitched a lot of solid innings for us last year. We got guys like Mason Smith, who's going to be a middle infielder and pitching for us. So we got a lot of two-way guys that are going to be doing a lot of things for us. So we're really excited for what's about to happen.
And the two-way, I think, is awesome to be able to see a player both pitch and also play position. Now, at the same time, though, and I think this is where hopefully Mother Nature can kind of not work against the two ways, because if you got to play consecutive days in a row, you've got a kid who pitches one day, then has to play third or the outfield. Now, if he's playing the outfield, not so much concern, because he's maybe going to make a couple throws a game, hopefully not many, right? Because that means not many balls are making it to the outfield. But if you've got a young man playing third or second or even short, or prime example, catcher, let's just say,
right,
more throws, then you worry about, like you mentioned about the rest period. Well, they can't really rest because they're having to make high volume throws during the game, depending on the position. Is that something to consider as well? Maybe having to use guys in a more, I'm kind of asking like down the road if there's long durations of games, but that could play a factor. I've seen it happen many times.
No, absolutely. And that's something that, that Mike and I preach, is rest. And if your arm is sore, if your arm is hurting, we shut it down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I think a really big thing, that helps to kind of deter that is them throwing in the wintertime, building up their arm strength. We're not, it's high school baseball. A lot of these guys have aspirations to go on to the next level. We're not looking to dead arm somebody before they're, a junior or a senior or about to go off. The big thing for us is building up. So like we have, we have an idea. I don't want to give away all the secrets, but we have a plan for them. So we're building them up. So that way, by the time we're getting towards the middle of May, these guys are able to throw 75 to 110 pitches. They take their day of rest, or like a lot of guys like Ben Jericho would do light throwing, so he could go sit at first base and make a few catches if he needed to. So it's all about balance, and having a little bit of depth at those positions doesn't hurt either. So it's one of those things, and it's a tough line because, they've got a lot of guys in their ears too. They got their summer coaches. Some of them have their college coaches. Some of them have pitching, specialized pitching coaches. So it's a lot of different things. And like I said to you before, it's about feeding them the information and trying to get them to learn about how their arm actually feels.
How difficult is that, coach? Because like you just mentioned, when there's so many people talking in their minds, in their ears, right? And they're having to digest everything. At some point, it's like they're going to tune out some things, right? Or at the very least, maybe not be so receptive to certain people, but be receptive to others, right? So how hard is that to kind of balance the line, I guess? Not so much play the middleman, but like know when to, I guess, I don't want to say cross the line, but just, I guess, know where to go exactly, because it's got to be a tough thing. And I give coaches a lot of credit, especially with everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the first part is building that trust, right? You got to build that trust and build that relationship with the guys. I'm a teacher in my professional life. So, I love interacting with kids, working with kids, and building the trust and the rapport. So that way you guys can have an honest conversation about how their arm's feeling and what, you think. And like I said, I took things from every stop that I've been at, Shelton and Newtown and Danbury. And that's the same thing the kids have to do. They have to take the little bits from here, little bits from there, modify it, adapt to it, try to figure out what works best for them.
Coach, I really appreciate you coming on. A lot of fun being able to talk with you about the program and, just talking about pitching and just the overall aspects of the game of baseball at the high school level. Really do appreciate it. Best of luck this season.
Thanks very much, Chris. I appreciate you taking the time, and, hopefully we'll see you this season.
That would be a lot of fun. It really would. I'll wrap things up here on the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm going to try to find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.